Welcome to A Pond for the Review. This is AJ Bellino. Week 9 is in the books. And surprise, surprise, 49ers got a win. Now, many of us, yours truly included, thought the 49ers were going to get smoked this week. That didn't happen. Today, we're going to go through what we saw that really made a difference for the 49ers against the Falcons. Who stepped up, who didn't step up, and what it is that we see going forward. We've got a bye next weekend, but after that, the 49ers head up to Seattle, so we're going to give you a little bit of a sneak preview as to what we see there. In any case, I'm AJ Bellino, this is A Pond for the Review, and here we go. So the 49ers get a win week 9 against the Atlanta Falcons. Is the bigger shocker that a 2-6 football team knocked off a 6-2 football team? Not really. I think the big shocker this week is that Blaine Gabbert really stepped to the fore. 15-25, 185, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. When you just look at the stat line, it doesn't really bowl you over. But having watched the game, in Santa Clara from my seat, something really curious occurred to me. And it's this, probably the biggest stat of the week. Blaine Gabbert was not sacked. Now, I know that that's probably a function of a marginal Falcons defense. But there's something else to consider. Normally, we're here yammering about how Marcus Martin, Jordan Devey, who had his playing time limited, or Eric Pierce were giving up pressure. Well, Martin played pretty well. I'm going to say he played pretty well. When we had rotation in there at guard with Tiller played pretty well. There were times where we saw Pierce at guard. And surprise, surprise, finally, Trenton Brown. And boy, howdy, he showed up and did all right. He acquitted himself pretty well. So when Gabbert was able to basically stay upright, the ball came out on time. And you've got players like Quentin Patton, 3 catches, 70 yards, along a 41. That play for 41 yards, magical. On the play, Gabbert senses pressure, runs up through the pressure, stops, sets his feet, finds Patton coming across the field, hits him in stride, and you've got 30 yards after the catch. Those kinds of plays have been really rare for the 49ers this season, and the big driver there is Blaine Gabbert. Gabbert, I really feel, is the reason why the 49ers were at the very least in a position to lean on their defense late without leaving them on the field for 40 minutes. So in any case, the 49ers get a win, and I really think the reason is the guy under center. So now I'm going to go into my players of the game. I think you already know who one of them is. We just finished talking about him. But he doesn't get my game ball. The game ball for me goes to a guy who got promoted from the practice squad to play defense against the Atlanta Falcons and probably drew the toughest matchup of this game. That guy is Marcus Cromartie. Marcus Cromartie stepped up and was one of the highest rated players per Pro Football Focus. He had a rating this week of 1.8. Kids, you're talking about a practice squad cornerback who got called up to be used in coverage against Julio Jones and Roddy White. That, in and of itself, screams fantasy football 5-star matchup. Cromartie went nuts. The big number in primary coverage against Julio Jones, he allowed 3 catches, and he was targeted 4 times. Those 3 catches netted 33 yards against who I feel is the best receiver in football. and he was kept out of the end zone. Kids, Marcus Cromartie balled out last week, and he deserves a big fat high five and this week's game ball. Next player, another defender. This guy only registered 1 tackle on the stat sheet, but I don't want to talk about tackles. I want to talk about the difference he made against Devontae Freeman, who coming into this game was averaging 2 yards per carry before contact. Atlanta's offensive line got flummoxed early, and they got flummoxed by one guy, Eric Armstead. He was on the field for 22 snaps, primarily in the first half, and he got 5 pressures. Not to mention the fact that he blew guards, he blew the center off the football when he got his hand in the dirt. This guy is going to be a superstar going forward, and I think you're going to see more of him given what we saw from him in the first half. It was an exceptional performance. Next, obviously Blaine Gabbert. Gabbert is not an exceptional quarterback. Gabbert is not an exceptional athlete. Gabbert is not the best quarterback option the 49ers could have if they planned. However, he's who they have. And last week, he showed up. He went at his guys. He got the ball out on time. He threw to spots and trusted his receivers to get there and make the catch. There were a couple of times that snake bit him, namely against Simpson, who should have caught it. And that first pick should not be on him. And then again, Vance McDonald. He tried getting the ball to McDonald. McDonald was step for step with Beasley, and it just didn't work out. I'm putting that one a little bit on McDonald as well. A 6'7" receiver should not be boxed out by a smurf of an outside linebacker. In any case, those are my 3 guys. So we've got Marcus Cromartie, stud, Eric Armstead, stud, and Blaine Gabbert, who's going to be the 49ers starter in Seattle. Well, that's it for this segment. Be sure to check back to our YouTube channel for our next segment.